Question 5. The Ministry, Epra and KPC to indicate exactly the supply chain breakdown occurred and so on and so forth. Honorable Chair, again from the records, on 27th March, Kenya Pipeline received the reference load port report of analysis for the consignment, that is Appendix 7. As per KPC internal procedures, the load report of analysis was scrutinized for compliance with KSEAS 158/2025 gasoline standard requirements, and the report prepared. The report is attached as Appendix 8. Again, as I've said, based on the load port report of analysis from the records, the State Department for Petroleum sought a waiver for certain parameters that were of specification. If we can refer back to paragraph 7. Question 6. The Ministry and Epra provide details on specific fuel quality parameters and so on and so forth. Again, as per the load port report of analysis, oxygenates, manganese, sulfur, and benzene were observed to have exceeded the limit provided in KSEAS 158/2025. Again, as indicated earlier on in paragraph 7, the State Department for Petroleum sought for waiver from KEBS. Question 7. On the Ministry to confirm officers who have been identified as culpable so far and the word disciplinary or legal action has been initiated against them, and so on and so forth. Honorable Chair, again, we are properly informed and advised that this particular matter is under very active investigation by the DCI, and therefore we do not wish to preempt the outcome of the investigations. Question 8. The Ministry, Epra and KPC to explain why the fuel is allowed into storage and so on and so forth. Again, we are referring the Honorable Committee through its chair and members to the responses under question 5. From the records, held a meeting it is important to go on record that even though the matter is under active investigation by the DCI, as I've said earlier on, the government, through the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, one, directed the importer to withdraw all invoices and issue credit notes to the oil marketing companies, who again have been instructed not to take the consignments. 2, directed that the consignment be removed from Kenya as soon as possible. The importer, Honorable Chair, has duly confirmed that they have taken the necessary steps to comply with this directive. And 3, the consignment shall not be included in any petroleum pump price computations. Beginning with tomorrow, Honorable Chair, as you know, tomorrow the 14th, Epra will be announcing prices of petroleum products in accordance with the law. The cost of this particular consignment, I repeat, shall not be included in the petroleum pump price computations whatsoever. Question 10. The Ministry and Epra to explain what safeguards fail in preventing this occurrence and the measures to ensure that such failures will not occur, and so on and so forth. Honorable Chair, simply, the Ministry and its agencies, and we are here, are continually reviewing their processes optimize them, and ensure compliance with the law at all times. Honorable Chair, question 11. The Ministry to explain what statutory reforms are being implemented, eliminate discretion and close loopholes in petroleum importation and quality control, and so on and so forth. Honorable Chair and members, the Ministry has initiated a comprehensive internal review of petroleum products management systems and processes. This measure is aimed at reinforcing transparency, safeguarding quality, and ensuring the continued integrity of the supply chain. The Ministry continues to work very, very closely with relevant agencies to maintain oversight and operational stability within the sector. And finally, Honorable Chair and members, the Ministry reaffirms its commitment to maintaining the integrity, stability, transparency, and accountability of the petroleum supply chain under the G2G framework. Question 12. Whether there were any test results which were altered, waived, or commissioner approved, and so on and so forth, Honorable Chair. No test results were altered. Notwithstanding, of course, a waiver was sought from KEBS and duly granted. Question 13. What due diligence was conducted by KPC before accepting the fuel, and so on and so forth? Honorable Chair, from the records, KPC conducted due diligence for the consignment as per its internal procedures. 1. Review of the load port report of analysis after it was received from the importer, and B. Pre- and post-discharge testing and by KPC laboratory. Question 14. Where there were any special permits, directives, exemptions issued to facilitate these imports. Again, as indicated in paragraph 3, Honorable Chair and members, a brief on the supply position was presented to the Principal Secretary for consideration and approval. Again, I refer you to Appendix 6. Again, as indicated in paragraph 7, Honorable Chair, certain parameters were off spec, and therefore a waiver was sought from KEBS. Again, the question 15, Honorable Chair, why the interagency coordination mechanisms failed, and so on and so forth, we are referring you, Honorable Chair and members, to our responses under questions 12 and 13. And finally, Honorable Chair, question 16. If there's a breakdown in the exclusivity or enforcement of the G2G arrangement, does the current framework allow parallel importation without PEPCO's visibility? Honorable Chair, as I said from my opening remarks, fuel importation into this country is governed solely by the Petroleum Act of 2019 and the Petroleum Importation Regulations of 2023. That is legal notice number 3 of 2023, which provides for the importation of petroleum products under a G2G arrangement or through the OTS. As such, Honorable Chair and members, there is no other method, no other framework known by law apart from these two for the importation of petroleum products. I submit. Thank you, Honorable Chair and members.
I think honorable members, Waziri has made his presentation and given us responses to all the 16 areas that this committee wanted, and he has, through his presentation, indicated the Petroleum Act 2019 and the Petroleum Importation Regulations of 2023, and as to whether the ministry and the relevant agencies did comply with the law. regarding the petroleum importation. And it's after that these were addressed legally and effectively by the Petroleum Act of 2019 and of course the regulations that followed thereafter. In your submission, honorable members, he has indicated that under the law we can only import, and there are two provisions which have been given, and G2G is part of the open tender system. So basically that is it. Honorable members, I want to open the floor for clarification, questions, and we'll be taking them in batches so that we can be able now to go. Of course, there are some attachments of annexes which have been attached, and he has indicated for every question, if there is an attachment, he has indicated to that effect, and it is within our files. So I open the floor. We will start by 3 questions, and then we move to the next phase. Karibu Bwana Kingara, we have Walter and Barongo.
Okay, thank you, Chair. We'll start by sharing that the answers are convincing, but nevertheless we need to have more clarification on some matters. Mr. Chairman, when it came to G2G, it was set in a manner whereby we have sufficient fuel supply in this country. My assumption was then that there should be enough buffer which should take care of any shortcoming. Now that one would have even taken care of some delays on vessel leaving or come to Mombasa. Maybe, Mr. Chairman, can the CS share with us what is the buffer which we hold matters fuel, that is diesel and other fuel products. Number 2, the outcome of fuel coming out of G2G, has it happened before? Because maybe somebody just raised a flag, and maybe when the flag was down, these things were happening. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Wandayi, thank you for the response. Now, transaction of this magnitude and for such a sensitive product, I thought the approval should be done at the highest level in the ministry, which is your office. Are you saying that you are never privy to all these things, Waziri? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I was looking at the documents, Bwana CS, and the reason why this substandard cargo may have been consulted is seen to be because of an impending supply shortage. From the look of the minutes, the importer Gulf Energy seems to have made alternative arrangements in the way of 2 smaller ships that were supposed to arrive in time so that the country does not stock out. Could the impending supply shortage have been manufactured, and could you have been misled? My second question is, in the wake of this breach of the system's resilience, 3 energy officials who are very senior have resigned. Do you take it that it could have been because of, manipulation of some sort, that you as the person to whom the buck stops, could that have been the reason why you may accept the fact that they needed to step down? And finally, the public wants to know why 3 senior energy officials that report to you, why they have resigned, and the public would like to know, why do you think you should continue in your role? Thank you very much.
We are going 3.
Yes,
so we will go with that.
Thank you.
Karibu, Waziri.
So I don't lose track of the questions.
Correct.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Let me say this. I'm starting with the question by the Honorable Kingara of Ruiru. Honorable Chair, to our knowledge, and from the records, since the first cargo under G2G arrived in Kenya in April or thereabout of 2023, there has been no fuel imported outside the G2G framework until this contentious consignment came. From the records and to our knowledge. Honorable Chair, from the records, this is the first consignment that came and discharged outside the G2G framework. 2 is that, Honorable Chair, we are yet to establish fuel reserves. We are working very closely because we have got proposals from various private players who would want to partner with the government to establish contingency storage facilities in Mombasa. But as of now, Honorable Chair, the country, of course, relies on fuel as it comes, based on the schedules agreed upon. It comes, it's discharged, it is consumed, and so on and so forth. And the G2G has worked very well. You'll agree with me, Honorable Chair and members. The G2G has worked seamlessly from its inception up to now. It has helped us address the issue of shortage of fuel. As a matter of fact, Honorable Chair, Kenya is one of the very, very few countries in this region and beyond that have not experienced biting fuel shortages. Even in the aftermath or in the wake of the Israeli/US Iran war, the few cases of shortages that have been reported, we have confirmed, have basically been occasioned by players in the supply chain. But otherwise, the system of G2G has been robust enough to guarantee Kenya's steady supply of quality petroleum products.
Maybe just before you leave there, Waziri, then can you, as you're saying you're working out on how to understand from the respective players as to the stock reserves. Internationally, what is the recommendation, the recommended reserve internationally, so that at least also us as a committee can understand the international standards are different?
Okay. I will pack that and my friend Edward Kenya will respond to it shortly. So, Honorable Chair, allow me to go to the question from the Honorable Walter Wayne. And from the outset, again, let me be very clear that since G2G framework was a framework established upon a cabinet resolution, and governed by law, as I've said earlier on, any deviation from it would naturally require a concurrence or approval by the cabinet, in my view. So, Honorable Chair, I have already stated that the method, the procurement of this particular vessel or consignment was recommended by a technical committee. And a brief on stock position and proposals for delivery of PMS was prepared and forwarded to the PS. Honorable Chair, of course, the PS in his wisdom did approve it. But Honorable Chair, when it emerged, now I think on the 30th of March, to be specific, 30th of March, was a Monday, when it emerged that actually this particular consignment had come outside G2G, we moved very swiftly. Okay? As I told you earlier on, such a deviation from the established framework would have required higher approvals. I personally moved swiftly and briefed His Excellency the President on the 30th of March, when it became very clear now that this consignment was outside G2G. It is upon that brief that actually His Excellency advised me to take the necessary steps to have the second cargo, which was en route, stopped. I did, of course, instruct the PS to take the necessary actions to comply with that directive. Okay? So to answer Honorable Owino's question in short, this would definitely would have required a higher approval, such deviation from the established framework. On Honorable Barongo's question, I am saying the approval of the Cabinet Secretary was not sought. Okay? Of course, if it was sought formally, I would have acted on it one way or the other. And most definitely, I would have escalated it to the the President and, of course, the Cabinet. Remember, up to this time, we had no idea that this thing was outside G2G. Yeah. None of these guys, I think, was aware that this thing was outside G2G and the OTS as established by the law. On the question of Honorable Barongo, you know, the question of data, stocks that are being manufactured, is one of the issues being investigated. If you recall the communication by the head of public service on, just to be specific, yes, the head of public service on the 5th of April 2026, okay? Sorry, not 5th, sorry. Not that one. Let me just confirm again. Yes. I cannot have it. I can confirm which document, which date it was. But you will recall that in his statement to the public, when he was announcing the resignation of some of the officers, yes, it was clear that the issue of stocks was in doubt. And this is one of the matters that this year are investigating. And therefore, I would want to delve deeper into it. But again,
is that communication annexed anywhere in our report?
No.
Not.
No.
So we will
It's
also
not.
be requesting.
It's not. It's
for.
We can have it printed, but I can look at it. Okay. Okay, sorry. So there is something here. this was, I can see the end. Okay, I can see now, fine. This was on the 4th of April, yeah, when the head of public service issued a statement. I'm aware that the DCI are actively investigating that. So, again, as to why 3 or so officers have resigned, as asked by Honorable Barongo, I cannot say. Yes, because I do not know why they resigned. Yes. Okay. What I know is that investigations are going on, and you know, resignation is a voluntary thing. Again, I must qualify that. When you resign, you can have the reasons, and you are free to state them or not to state them. Okay?
Waziri, so that I don't want to go back into this later when I'm doing my final remarks, just to understand their resignation. This must have been appointed, the officers were appointed by someone, so they sent those letters to the appointing people. Maybe we could understand so that we know, because in that letter they must have indicated as to the reason. So maybe we will also be asking later on the respective appointing authority, also through your office, to avail a copy of, for purposes of the committee.
Honorable Chair, there is no evidence of coercion.
People are talking out of record.
No, I am just saying, of course, Barongo did ask as to why, and the Waziri, rightfully, he has said he wouldn't have any, he doesn't know why they resigned, but at the same time, there is the body of those resignations, it is somewhere within, so we are asking your office, through your office, to give us, to avail. Honourable members, I think he's done with that. We have
No, there's something, sorry, remaining for Honorable Barongo. There's Honorable Chair, I know, when all is said and done, in the final analysis, clearly there is no reason to stop me from continuing to discharge my duties as Cabinet Secretary for Energy and Petroleum. Thanks.
We will go. I will start with Vice Chair, then we'll go to Elisha, and then we go to Tom, and then yes, they had actually raised their hand a long time ago. So we have, of course, by virtue of Vice Chair being, so we have, and then Karibu.
Chair, thank you, Chair. Chair, my question would be to the Cabinet Secretary to tell us, the country, whether the country has incurred any losses in terms of money in this scam, and who should bear the cost of that loss. Secondly, Chair, I think we have these now oil that we got in this country, and we have seen also the war in Gulf. Waziri, don't you think we need a Kenya refinery now that we have a crisis in this country, or even going forward? Should this country not think that we need a refinery so that we can check also on our oil instead of importing it? And lastly, Chair, the Cabinet Secretary have asked us, or told this committee, that tomorrow Epra will be announcing prices. Also, we do disclose to us whether the prices will go up and by how much, and what should Kenyans expect on it. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I think, Chair, I want to get you back on when you were Chair in 2018. I raised concerns with the then Minister for Petroleum. My recommendation then was we need to have a more robust national oil company like Zambia that then can have stock for oil. And I think then they played politics with it. But next to it, in 2020, there was a consignment that was
oil was getting to Mombasa, and KPC again rejected that consignment because it has the oxidation levels and sulfur was above compliance levels. I think, Chair, you can remember. It was before our committee, and Macharia then was the MD of KPC. So, CS, you have said you're looking at the petroleum system, the integrated petroleum system, that will be more comprehensive to be able to help us, not to have a repeat of what happened the other day. But what I was alluding to is, this is not the first time fuel has been rejected in Kenya. But having said that, CS, Kenyans have a concern that with America and Israel and Iran war, what is the situation of fuel in the country today as we talk? For how long are we going to have fuel? Because there are many people, the upper middle class, are ensuring that all their cars are petrol, while the lower ones who rely on their salaries, they can't compete with the upper middle. Are we safeguarding the interests of all Kenya, irrespective of your position in the society? And more importantly is, I will allude to what Honorable Baramat has raised. You know, the pump price is the talk of town today, and Kenyans are waiting with a bated breath tomorrow whether the price will go up or government and the Petroleum Act will intervene to ensure Wanjiku does not have to pay more for fuel, does not have to pay more for cooking oil, does not have to pay more for transport. Thank you.
Okay,
before you allow.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Mwage, MP Embakasi South, and a member of this committee.
Thank you, Chair. You will allow me to take Waziri back to question number 7, which he explained they never wanted to go deep into details because the matter is under investigations. Waziri, as we are seated here, the information we are giving you are much of what has been covered by the press than what we have gotten officially from you. That's why we never wanted to go into details of the issues, but I think naming the culprits or the people suspected might not interfere with any investigations. It's just for our information. We get it directly from you so that we don't rely on what is covered in the press. We might be charging people wrongly who are not in your list. But by you delivering that one to the committee here, I don't think that one will interfere with any investigation. Number 2, you've accepted resignations of the affected officers, which to me is wrong. Because an officer or a government officer or a public officer under investigations is not free to leave his job because the office is under investigation. Such an officer can be suspended or interdicted pending the outcome of the investigations. Because when you resign, it's like now you don't have any attachment with that office. So by accepting a resignation, to me, is wrong. It would have waited until cases are concluded, but you can step aside for that investigation to be concluded. Thank you, Chair.
We are going 3, then we go another 3. We're just about to finish. Karibu Waziri.
Yes, just give me a minute. I check something here. Okay, good. Honorable Chair, the issue raised by Honorable Aramat on any possible losses to the public and who should carry the burden. Just giving me something. I'm just taking up this document. Okay, this is 5th, 4th, 3rd. Anyway, let me just say this, that the Honorable Chair and members, yes, very good. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, good. Honorable Chair and members, I have said repeatedly, and let's repeat for avoidance of doubt, that the public shall not suffer any loss whatsoever from the importation of the consignment in question. You will recall from my press statement of 7th April 2026, which if you allow me I could read sections of it. I had said in that statement, Honorable Chair, that if that particular consignment of petrol, PMS, was to be factored in the computation of petroleum prices in this next cycle, that is tomorrow, beginning tomorrow, it would have meant an increase of 14 shillings per litre if that consignment was factored. But because I had directed that it should not be factored in the costing of this petroleum price, that increase on that account will not be there, on the account of this consignment. And I did say in my statement, Honorable Chair, that one petroleum company that imported the said product was to immediately withdraw all invoices issued and raise credit notes. And 2, the oil marketing companies should neither pay the invoices nor uplift the product from this consignment. And finally, not finally really, 4th, 3rd, one petroleum was directed to exit the product out of Kenya. And finally, Epra was subsequently going to exclude this product from the monthly computation of petroleum product costs. The need for a refinery, Honorable Chair, is a commercial question. And your committee has been very, very robust in interrogating this matter. I am happy to report, Honorable Chair, that for the first time in Kenya's history, under the administration led by His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, we are going to see the first commercial drilling of oil from South Lokichar. The company involved has given us an assurance as late as last week that they are on course. In fact, on 24th of this month, I will be traveling to South Lokichar to officiate at the groundbreaking of operations by Gulf Energy. We are confident that by the end of this year, before we hit 31st of December, we shall have the first trucks of oil moving to the port of Mombasa for export, crude oil. Now, as to whether we need a refinery here to refine it, again I've said is a commercial question. We are getting a number of proposals from various private actors who wish to invest in this, and we encourage them as government that if the mathematics add up, if the maths add up, we shall support them in the usual way as government. But ultimately, what is important is that this country is achieving a milestone, a historical milestone in terms of production of petroleum, of crude oil for export and for the support of the people of Kenya. Now, obviously, no, we cannot preempt what Epra will announce tomorrow. Even as I speak, I haven't been briefed. I'll be briefed, of course, in the course of the day before they do the announcement tomorrow. You know, Epra is an autonomous entity governed by law. But we have agreed unequivocally that the cost of this particular consignment will not be factored in that pricing. That can take from me. But I'm also aware that as government, we are not just sitting pretty. We are taking proactive measures, both in terms of taxation and possible interventions that will inform what they will finally release tomorrow. Allow me to just leave it at that, because if I go beyond that, I will be contravening the law. Honorable Chair.
Maybe, Waziri, just to get some understanding, yes, we agree. We don't want to preempt what will happen tomorrow. But by virtue of being Waziri in charge of petroleum products, and Kenya is part of a village, global village, around our neighbors, what is happening in our neighbors? Would you be really privy to what is happening around the neighboring countries and what is happening in their prices?
Let me say this, Honorable Chair, for avoidance of doubt. It is a fact that in the wake of this turmoil in the Gulf, petroleum or oil prices have skyrocketed worldwide. Worldwide. There is an array of ships which are stuck at this Strait of Hormuz for now almost 2 months. So international oil companies, especially the ones that we are dealing with in G2G, have had to look for alternative sources of petroleum products. And I believe that's the case with any other, all the other players in the industry. So it's a reality that because of the prevailing circumstances, the cost of petroleum products has increased worldwide. I don't want to talk about specifically the matter in our neighborhood. Again, I want to urge Kenyans to be patient and wait for tomorrow, when Epra is going to make the announcements officially and demonstrate the actions the government has taken, Chairman, to cushion Kenyans.
Chairman, I think the video mentioned that oil that was supposed to be blocked from entering Kenya, the price would have been 40 shillings more.
Yes.
So I expect it will be lower.
Proceed.
Okay, now, the fuel stock situation currently, again, let me just assure Kenyans, and to you, Honorable Chair and the committee members, that we have got no shortage of fuel in the country. Not at all. Not at all. In fact, as at today morning, for PMS, that is super petrol, we have got 183,318 cubic meters in our stores and the pipeline. For diesel, we have got 152,760 cubic meters. And for jet, 113,575 cubic meters. Fuel that is enough to last this country for very many days to come. As a matter of fact, even as that happens, more shipments are coming as scheduled. Because of the G2G framework, which is very robust, our international oil companies, Honorable Chair, despite the difficulties they are experiencing, have assured us that they will not falter, they will not fail in delivering their products to Kenya. So there should be no cause for alarm whatsoever. And anybody out there, Honorable Chair, and you help us with the committee, anybody out there in the supply chain who may want or attempt to create artificial shortages, please, let them know that the law will deal with them appropriately. I am very happy that Epra in the last 1 week or so, has taken proactive measures by giving show cause letters to a number of oil marketing companies, about 12 of them. Okay? Yes, Nyakundi. Okay.
Chair.
Yes.
Just before Waziri, just on the same question.
Yes.
You have said that you have assured Kenyans that they should not get worried about the availability of fuel in this country. I refer you to the Appendix 5 and 6, 5A and B, where the PS, the former PS for petroleum, wrote to KPC, to the Principal Secretary, State Department of Industry, seeking waiver. That shows some desperate move that this kind of panic. But unless, because you see, they are seeking waiver to have fuel that does not meet specifications allowed in this country to be allowed in. So when you are telling us that we should not get worried, and here by 27th March 2026, the PS is desperate. Could you just explain the two?
Again, Honorable Chair, I want to seek your protection on this, because as I said earlier on, that letter is alluding to stocks, volumes, I believe, or sufficiency. And yet I've said that one of the issues being investigated, Honorable Chair, is possible falsification of records of fuel stocks. So I want us to leave it at that, so that the investigators can conclude their work. Yes.
Ziri, I would have really protected you, but sometimes I don't want to look partisan. So when I'm answering for you, you will ask me I'm the ones, right? And it's good for you to reaffirm what you had earlier said.
Thank you. So, again, Honorable Chair, the question of NOC, it's an old story. Yes, the government has taken a lot of efforts to revive it, have it revived. We haven't reached there yet, but it is work in progress, as this committee is acutely aware. The other day, I think when I was in Senate, I suggested that we take a day with Senate committee to delve into the issue of NOC. I will similarly ask your committee to give me 1 day. First, we can delve into the issue of NOC and how we can eventually turn it around, because the efforts being made as we speak. But this committee's input would be handy. Honorable Chair, the Honorable Tom Wandayi. Again, I will answer your protection, Honorable Chair, not to assign capability to individuals without evidence. Yes, that we allow the relevant agencies to do their work and complete this process. Again, Honorable Chair, Honorable Dege is suggesting that the resignations shouldn't have been accepted. As I said earlier on, I can't comment on that, because I didn't see the resignations myself, and I am not an appointing authority to any of those gentlemen who resigned. Yes. Thank you.
Waziri, just before I go to the next round, it is important, Waziri, order members, it is important when you're answering and saying the question of how many stocks, you've given us figures. And of course, these figures are some data from some relevant departments, indicating we have so many millions of liters.
Maybe allow me to give the MD KPC his voice.
Actually, we would want a copy of that. Okay. And roughly from their analysis, with the consumption of a daily usage of both PMS and the diesel and paraffin, in their view, how many days are we talking about? Of course, you have alluded to the fact that the vessels are still coming, so we will not be having that shortage. But it is important to understand as of today, how many days.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Chair and members. Just to echo what the CS has said.
Other members, we do it in.
We do have sufficient stocks. For PMS, the stocks we have covers for the next 2 weeks. But as we speak, tomorrow there is a vessel which will be berthing to discharge 50,000 MT. You know, the way stocks operate is on a replenishment model. As you evacuate
a ship comes and discharges. So it's already confirmed, the ships are lined up that will be able to sustain the market for the longest. For AGO, we have a cover for 13 days. Again, there is a ship which started discharging over the weekend, and immediately it finishes discharging, obviously those days will go up. And it goes on, it's a cycle. So again, just to emphasize what the CSR said, we have sufficient stocks in the country.
Allow me to give Edward to respond to the Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chairs. In terms of international best practice, in terms of strategic stocks, we have countries internationally keeping between 60 and 90 days. Like the EU keeps 90-day stocks. That is based on the net imports. So they have stock that can cover about 3 months in case of serious disruption to their supply chain. The US today, if you look at what they were holding by 13th March 2026, was about 64 days cover in terms of net imports. Honorable Chair, I think in the same line we had legal notice number 43 of 2008, which had basically charged the National Oil Corporation of Kenya with the function of preservation of strategic stocks for the country for 90 days. However, I think the issue of funding, the way the funding was to be done, it was to be done through appropriations from Parliament. That was never crystallized. I think, Chair, that is why we had to relook at that regulation, and we have reopened it to other modes of keeping of strategic stocks, akin to what is happening in where we are getting, currently we are sourcing our petroleum. You find that we are also getting petroleum out of places like Rotterdam, Antwerp, and also a place like Singapore. Those people don't have petroleum reserve stocks, but they have reserves kept there by external parties. So if we were to think about the same thing, Honorable Chair, in Mombasa, we use it as a transshipment point where a big boy can come and build tanks and keep their stocks there. And in case like the source markets like the Middle East where there is this trouble, then they can transship that stock here, and we use it for other parts of the country with the first point of use as Kenya, the first right of use as Kenya. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
And Waziri, you have made it very clear, and we are really looking forward to the ministry engaging private persons, sectors, or to come and do that, as what Kenya has just indicated. Earlier had indicated that you are looking for strategic partners. Okay. Actually, we had this conversation when I was a chair in 2019, and the volumes and the figures was so huge that the country by then would not have been able to actually be able to do a funding to have a strategic reserve for over 60 days. So we understand what is required, and it is important for us. So okay, are we done? Okay, are we done?
I wanted you to give me a chance to allow the acting MD of Epra
Okay.
to say something.
And basically tell us whether the responses have come back after notices gone out.
Thank you so much. CS, Chair and honorable members.
You start with us.
Honorable Chair and members, may I just confirm that as Epra, we have been doing a lot to ensure that the fuel shortage the country is experiencing does not escalate. First, Honorable Member, Chair and Honorable members, on 8th of April, we issued a letter to all the OMCs warning them against hoarding, because we got some intelligence that some could be hoarding the product in anticipation of the price increases. After that, we started a very serious crackdown to ensure that we do inspections everywhere that they comply with the license conditions and they don't hold the product. Through that, we issued 25 so-called letters to OMCs, whom our teams on the ground found had some malpractices. Some of them are selling products above the recommended pump prices, which we had announced as Epra. reiterate, Chair and honorable members, that I think my CS has talked about the pump prices tomorrow. Let the country be calm. We are doing a lot in consultation with the CS and other government agencies and even the head of state to ensure that this issue does not clearly impact our economy negatively. No, I've not consulted him yet. I didn't say I've consulted him. I said we are doing consultation. Epra, we are data-driven institution. So we consult when we have done all the data. And then we are competition going on now. We are briefly giving them a preliminary brief which does not talk about the pump prices, but just the indicative prices. And the CS has said rightly that vessel in question, if it was allowed, the prices could have gone up 14 shillings. Government took a very decisive action from issuing the president to our CS and gave us an instruction not to include that vessel in our competition, which we have done. So there are a lot of consultations still going on. That's why I cannot release the prices.
Chair, it's just confusing us more.
Other members. We are coming to you, other members. Acting CEO Epra, stick to the question that you have been told to.
Honorable Sheikh, allow me, sorry, just to put in context what the acting CEO is saying. Obviously, in the course of their exercising their mandate, they consult appropriately. What I said earlier on is that they are yet to give me the final brief with regard to tomorrow's announcement, which they will do today. So there's no contradiction whatsoever in what she's saying. Thank you.
Let us go to, we will start Odgun and then Koech and then Wapawat, and then we'll go for the last round.
Chair, though the acting MD for Epra just confused us more, fuel is not just a commodity, Chair, it's the backbone of our economy. And any opacity in its procurement, pricing, and quality, not just mismanagement. So my question is on company, which company is qualified for the G2G framework? Number two, there are rumors that these companies are in the framework. Galana, Orex, Gulf Energy, Ashirami, Starbeck, and One Petroleum. So who is Starbeck in this case? Because it is visibility, it's not in the public domain. My third question, 1 minute. Can the ministry chair, can the ministry table all the pre-qualified companies to this committee so that the parliamentary or the public can scrutinize them and know more about those companies? My final question, CS, was the company that was used to outsource the controversial fuel. Since the PS and other people resigned, was that company license revoked? Is it still being used? Because if people resign, and I'm happy that you said they were not coerced on resigning, then what happened? Was that company that was used punished? Was the license revoked? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. And Chair, we courtesy of a communication from the Speaker. The report is expected back to the floor. The report of which the CSCR knows, having served as a ranking member and equally at one point served as a chair for Public Accounts Committee. Having said so, Chair, there are critical issues that the country needs to understand, and especially the common manager, who is the consumer. Whether this product that was announced through a lab report that they were substandard found its way into the pump. And as to why I'm asking so, Chair, is because sitting as a member of the Energy Committee, I have had the benefit of visiting Mombasa. And I know the process that when a vessel comes, it docks, it discharged into a tank. And at this particular I am of the opinion that maybe these tanks or we all understand that these tanks are not always empty. Of course, there are quantities that were there before. And if it's discharged, what are the possibilities that you need backloading? Secondly, Chair, on the same, there is this one, the one company that the CS has said, the two, and Oryx. There's this one company that seems to have said that they are not going to take back their fuel. What happens? Who is going to pay for the losses? And you know, Chair, we are in a country that is governed by the law. Oryx Energy. Oryx Energy have categorically said and communicated to the Department of Energy that they are not going to take back their consignment. And you know, Chair, we are governed by a constitution and a law that whereas you have signed a contract, you either pay for that contract or you cannot take back the product. You either take it or you pay for it. So Chair, who is lying? And you accept it? So I would like to understand, Chair, whether I'm asking this on behalf of Kenya. So
Order, Elisha, please. Proceed, question.
Yeah, my question is very straight. Whether one petroleum, the tanker that was carrying, or the vessel belonging to one petroleum, whether it discharged its product into our tanks in Kenya. Thank you, Chair.
The last one is Wandayi.
I know you. Another activities as a member of Parliament, you might have walked in with maybe a question. If it happens, then I will gladly correct you that this has been answered, so that, and if it is not answered, then we can be able to proceed.
As I attempt to ask my question, and I will not be gagged. You can rest assured of that. Bwana Waziri, I want to reframe a question that I've been asked here a few seconds ago. Was the petroleum consignment offloaded in Mombasa, anywhere in Kenya? Second, can you please give this committee the list of the companies that you issued letters to on them holding or not releasing the petrol? Petrol is used in all sectors of the economy. So as you answer this, know ye that we have been seeing queues in petrol station, people being sent away in petrol station, border queues at petrol station. So when you tell us, we know you are outside the country, but when you tell us here that there is no shortage, I don't know which country you're talking about, because we had queues in Nyeri, we had queues in Meru. My colleague, about 2 minutes ago, received an SMS, Mheshimiwa Tom Modege, and we agreed that I'll mention him, that in his mother tongue, indicating Waziri Riambo.
Order.
I'm going to quote.
No, order. No, we cannot. Okay.
I can read it.
No, but you cannot read it in that language that I.
Okay, I was going to translate. Okay.
We don't have.
I will translate.
Order. I will allow you to do that.
Yes.
But don't put it in any language. Just put it in a language.
No problem.
Okay.
My friend, Waziri is not telling the truth. There is no petrol in Migori here right now. We can give it to the chair if you want. So continuing. So my point is, You can give us assurances here, but the truth is what we are seeing on the ground and the common mananchi, we don't have petrol. We cannot see, we don't have petrol in our petrol stations. So, on the issue of resignation, we have seen 4 gentlemen resign, and as we are aware, in any ministry, the buck stops with the CS. There has been hue and cry out there as to who is to be held responsible of the mismanagement of such an important ministry as the Ministry of Energy in the country. So the buck stops with the CS, as we are aware. So please share with us. And then in every country, most of the countries, not every country we spoke, a lot of the countries, they have NOC, national oil companies in their own area. I know it has been mentioned before, but in 2018 and 2019, I was a member of this committee, my chairman was a member of this committee. We had agreed that we will revamp, but keep on getting stories. Tutafanya, we will continue to do, we are still working on it. From 2019 to date, we are still continuing to work on it. Now that we are aware of the people that were not willing, now it's probably one of the gentlemen, we will not be afraid to mention it, who was really not so supportive of the NOC to be revived. He is no longer, has resigned a few days ago. Can you, Waziri, give us an assurance as a country that you will support the reviving of NOC so that we can have sufficient fuel for the fuel reserves as a country? Thank you, Chair.
I had no intention whatsoever to gag any member to ask any question. It is not my intention, and it will never be my intention. However, actually, all these things that are indicated, Waziri has actually given, other than one that you have made, asking
Chair.
20, just a minute, order. Chair. The 25 companies that you wrote, some, that is required. But because you are a senior member of this committee and a ranking member, I will request Waziri, as you answer the other questions, just briefly re-explain and give a brief on that. So we'll start with, we had started with Odgun. Yes, I think. Karibu Waziri.
Honorable Chair, let me start with the Honorable Odgun. And the matter of which companies are players in the G2G framework is public knowledge. But I have to iterate for records that the government of Kenya is under the G2G framework dealing with 3 international oil companies. These are known. That is Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, the Emirate National Oil Company, and subsidiary of Saudi Aramco. Okay? 3 of them.
So that is Saudi,
ADNOC, ENOC, and Aramco. Okay? It is these international oil companies, the 3 of them, that then under the framework, the master framework agreement, go ahead and nominate the local oil marketing companies, support them in the importation process. And amongst themselves, they have nominated 6 OMCs. Starbucks is not one of them. Let me repeat, for avoidance of doubt. Starbucks International is not one of these 6 OMCs. It has received a beating in the recent past for nothing, if you ask me. Yes, but again, perhaps because of lack of information. Starbucks International is not one of the 6 OMCs nominated by the international oil companies for purposes of implementing the G2G framework. The 6 are 1 petroleum, 2 Oryx, 3 Galana, 4 Asharami, 5 B Energy, and 6 Gulf. 6 OMCs. Nothing more, nothing less.
All these are local companies.
They are local companies. We are allowing investigations to be completed by the DCI. And therefore, we haven't reached a stage where we can say as government, we are revoking anybody's license. Okay. What we have taken as measures, okay, momentary measures to manage the situation. Obviously, there will be more actions as the investigations conclude. Okay, so let's just be patient a little bit to allow that process to conclude. The second cargo by Oryx never discharged, never actually, it never even berthed. Okay, so the question of where it went is neither here nor there. What I know is that we gave instructions that it will not be allowed to discharge. As to any consequential legal matters, again, let us not anticipate. I humbly plead, because it could be prejudicial to subsequent processes.
But the orders are already through your directive that Oryx, which has not even birthed, will not discharge.
Correct.
So that is the final.
That particular consignment.
As to whether they will go for litigation.
Yeah. Of course, Oryx continues to bring fuel
through the
G2G arrangement. Yeah. And we are very happy with what they are doing to us, for us. Okay. Again, I did say. Sorry.
Order.
Sorry.
I asked if the ministry can let the committee see the pre-qualified companies, and you did not answer. Can we still see the agreement, the framework of the pre-qualified companies? Because you said step back is not there, and we hear a lot about it. Can we see the agreement?
Actually, we have already done we have submitted some documents, but we can resubmit some more documents. And you can scrutinize them in totality. Okay? In fact, you can even visit these companies as a committee. You know, I once chaired a committee in this house. You know, nothing stops you from visiting anybody and compelling them to provide evidence of what they're doing.
But for clarity, is to say that
IOC. Okay? So this undue pressure on Starbucks and BE, Honorable Chair, is unwarranted. Yeah.
Chairman, just an interlude. An interlude on your
let him finish on
an interlude, just on your question.
I have a question.
For comfort. CS, I've just read the tweet from Trump that is blocking the...
but we still have some more. Yeah, we'll give you some.
Actually, I'm just trying to amplify what I said earlier on. That at the inception of this EG2G arrangement, those IOCs had nominated only 3 OMCs. But over time, they have added 3 more. And they go through a KYC. Understand what a KYC means? KYC is.
What is it?
You know you are a customer. It's some kind of due diligence. Yeah.
So, Honorable Chair.
On Honorable Mawathe, the issue of list of OMCs given no-show letters. They are there. I don't know who has them. Can you read them?
Chair, they are there, but we didn't print them. We have them on soft. I request through Honorable Chair and the members that we give them later on.
Chair.
You send them directly to the clerk's office who will be, yes?
Guided.
Chair, on that issue, this is an issue, a matter of public interest. It is not a must that he present them to you now, but he can read them so that also the public can know that it's an issue that is of public interest. Let's share with the public. He can read them and then bring them down, table them later on. We humbly request, Chair, that he be directed to read them, please.
Okay. Honorable Chair, I will assist the DG. Correct. I've got a few names here. If that satisfies the committee.
25. The 25.
I don't have 25. I'll read what I have, Honorable Chair, if you allow me.
Let me direct like this. Just read what you have.
Yes.
Then the acting DG will submit the rest. Proceed.
Yes, you may have to bear with me because I have to open my phone. WhatsApp. There is a company called Peter Lusweti Filling Station in Kwanza. Peter Lusweti Filling Station in Kwanza. There is there is Station 1 Filling Station in Kaplamai, Kitale. There is, Honorable Chair, Zabco Filling Station in Sibanga, Nairobi. I'll just read a few of them if you allow me.
Yes.
There is Jovis Filling Station, Kwanza. There is Milimani Filling Station, Sibanga again, Kitale. There is Equipetrol Naja Filling Station, Muriuri, Kirinyaga. And then there is M7 Kilaunti Filling Station, Mailisaba, Kitale. Then there is Kathijim Filling Station, PIA Kirinyaga. I'm just finishing. And so on and so forth. And there is Klaus Energy Station, Sheriani Kilifi. So I can submit them, all those companies and the stations which have been acted upon by Epra for one reason or another. Honorable Chair, let me address once again the issue of purported fuel shortages. You know, Honorable Chair, the fact that there is turmoil in the world market of petroleum products as a result of the war in Iran. Every sensible person anticipates that there will be price increase. Every sensible consumer and trader, for that matter, suspects or imagines that there will be a price increase. So this triggers two actions on the part of consumers and on the part of business persons. On the part of consumers, Honorable Chair, it triggers panic buying. And that is what was evident in the weekend that has just passed, and previously in the weekend of Easter. It triggers panic buying. Some consumers, of course innocently, fearing that there will be shortages, so they fill their tanks. And that has a compounding effect. If you find a big number, a large number of vehicle owners filling their tanks, it has got a compounding effect. But it also triggers an action by the retailers and the OMCs. It is common sense. It is common sense, and the Honorable Barungu can tell you this. It is common sense that if you are a trader of petroleum products and you know for sure that Epra will announce its new prices on Tuesday, tomorrow, and you anticipate, rightfully or wrongfully, that there will be price increase, then there is a tendency, there is a motivation to hoard so that you sell at the higher price. And that is what we are mitigating by this ruthless crackdown by Epra. Epra has embarked on a serious, ruthless crackdown on entities, on filling stations, on companies engaging in these immoral and illegal activities. And we shall not stop at just sending them show-cause letters. We have agreed with Epra that very severe action in accordance with the law will be taken against entities that are found to have violated their licensing conditions. This problem, of course, will end tomorrow, because tomorrow there will be an announcement. So there will be no more motivation to hoard. Yes.
Are you preempting what is likely to
No.
happen tomorrow?
Order. Proceed.
And Epra is going to go to Migori and elsewhere. Yes. Thank you.
The question that was asked, and it was read by some statement from some, can Epra, is it Epra, whoever is concerned, tell us whether there is petrol in Migori? Is there a petrol shortage in Migori? You don't need to answer if you don't have, but you can make a follow-up immediately and give us an answer before we leave, so that I wouldn't want us to go, because we said when I started this meeting that we have invited the public, and rightly as a statement has been read, it is good for us to be able to, give factual information.
But even as the answer, Honorable Chair, as the DG Epra comes in, it is important to point out that Migori ordinarily would source its fuel from Kisumu depot. Ordinarily. Okay? And as we speak, Honorable Chair and members, Kisumu depot has got 5,359 cubic meters of super petrol, PMS. And it has got 25,405 cubic meters of diesel. And of course, 1,736 of Viking. Yeah. So there is no shortage of fuel in Kisumu depot, and therefore the petrol stations, filling stations in Migori, should have no reason for lacking fuel. So if they are holding, we are going to embark on a serious crackdown immediately. And the Epra officers on the ground, I'm sure they are following these proceedings. Yes.
Whoever was sent that message will tell us which petrol station so that Epra can send people. Anyway, we go to the very last one to finish. We have Gimose, and then we take two more supplementaries. Gimose, and Mumulanya, Sawa. Okay, Gimose.
It's a short question, a kind of appendix to what Honorable Mandasi said. Now, despite the procedural iniquities that are apparent in what you have described, was the importation of the consignment necessary? And if so, this return, has it affected the fuel in the country?
Has it affected?
The fuel, has it caused any fuel shortage?
Oh.
Or improved the fuel shortage, whatever it is, in the country?
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Wazir, I've been listening to your presentation, and especially on the matters to do with the G2G, you mentioned the 3 international companies that have appointed the local oil marketing companies. Now, suppose we have these local companies engaging in malpractices. Those local companies that have been appointed by the international companies. And as you said, this particular arrangement for the fuel in dispute, the one that was the fuel that is subject of this discussion, that was brought in outside the G2G and OTS. So suppose we have an oil marketing company that has been appointed by maybe Aramco or any other of the two. What are you supposed to do? Do you want to tell her that you are helpless? There's nothing you can do as a ministry? Thank you, Chair.
Waziri, nijibu alafu ndio tumalize Gimose and Mulanya.
Chair.
Sorry.
Chair.
Let's give those answers and then we'll make a decision.
Let me just say this, Honorable Chair. The matter of whether the importation of this particular consignment was necessary or not is tied to the issue of fuel stocks, okay, or data on fuel stocks, which, as I said earlier on, is being investigated very actively by the DCI. So I will not say whether it was necessary or not. But secondly, Honorable Chair, I have said it has had no impact on the cost of fuel, for the reasons I've mentioned earlier on. 2, any possible action on an OMC duly nominated by an IOC. Honorable Chair, as government of the Republic of Kenya, nothing stops us from dealing with any entity, any legal entity, which violates conditions and terms of its license. Nothing stops us. But as I said earlier on, such action would have to wait until we are sure of what really happened and who did what, so that we can apply ourselves properly. Yes.
Okay, honorable members, I think we are done.
Chair.
One order.
Chair, there's one.
Let me give directive. Order, members. Order, members. I will just say, so that again we are not, because I think the Waziri has given, there are some few issues I would want your clarity. But if that clarification has already been clarified, I will gladly ask Waziri not to take it. So I will ask Barongo, Mawade and yourself, and Elisha. But if it is already been, it has already been, the funds or rather presented, then I will just tell Waziri not to give. If it is anything that has not been asked, then again I will allow that. Let us agree like that. So we start with you, Kenga.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to remind you that I have a name. I'm Simon Ngakinga, representative of rural people, the most populous in the whole country, actually. Sincerely, Mr. Chairman, because of the nature of what we are undergoing today, fuel in general is an enabler of this economy, and we should not take it for granted. My proposal is, since it's touching many stakeholders,
this is the fuel people, the consumers, the suppliers, the ministry, the government at large. Why don't we have an inquiry whereby we can bring everybody on board and we clear it once and for all? Thank you, Chair.
For our committee to decide. Elisha?
Chairman, I was mentioned, just for clarification, I think Pius has mentioned that there's fuel docking in Mombasa tomorrow. But I was saying, CS, I've seen a tweet from the President of the United States saying that any hour from now is blocking the Strait of Hormuz. Blocking today. I mean, if you are savvy on Twitter, you know. So it's important that we get that clarification, whether that will affect any future consignments, or we are using the new route, which is not passing through the port of Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz.
Okay, yes, Barango.
I think that is a valid thing.
Chair, thank you very much. I think there are a few questions that have been asked by members and which have not been answered.
I keep record of each and every question that a member is asking, and I follow the response.
So there is the question.
Which one is this?
So there is the question of, did this vessel, the one petroleum vessel, discharge? Number two, right at the very top of this session, I just want a yes or no answer. Did National Security Council write to the ministry asking the ministry to explore alternative petroleum importation avenues to diversify the sources in light of the conflict in the Middle East?
Waziri, utajibu hiyo moja ya National Council, ile ingine ilijibiwa, will go back to records. Yes,
Thank you, Chair. As we thank you, Chair. As we discuss the issue of the price or the cost of fuel, especially tomorrow at the pumps, we should consider that this is affecting every Kenyan everywhere, in all their spheres of their operations. So now, the question, the petrol that we are just about, that is in the country, was imported a while back, maybe a month or 2 or 3 back. And so it was imported at the cost that was not affected by the current situation in the Strait of Hormuz or by the Iran war. So the cost, as Epra and the Waziri, who is in charge, as they consider on how to cost the fuel tomorrow, they should put in consideration and let the Kenyan and be aware that the Kenyans know that the petrol that we are just about to give the cost of tomorrow was imported about 2-3 months before the war before the fight, and so it should be based on that. Actually, we should be talking about probably going lower. There shouldn't be any excuse or reason whatsoever that the cost of petrol should go high because it was imported before the price increases of the barrels of importation. Thank you.
Waziri, I will allow my vice, but my direction to you, just answer the Hormuz, whether it will have an effect, that if Trump has tweeted that he's going to close, and secondly, there was a letter by the Security Council advising. Now those two, let me hear what my vice is.
Chair, I just want to write on what Elisha was saying. Whether if Trump blocks that tunnel, Waziri, do we have a plan B in importing this oil from either Nigeria or any other country, so that Kenyans will not suffer long term? In terms of when we say Trump is saying that he will block that Strait of Hormuz. Do you have other plans by government?
Okay, thank you.
Waziri, very straight answers.
Okay, thank you very much.
Will the Hormuz affect, and I think the last question is also very valid, whether you have any other options.
Okay, thank you very much.
And the last, Barongo, is yes or no?
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. You will recall that the Strait of Hormuz has been closed for a long time, at least by the Iranians. Okay? And this latest development will not add much to the situation as far as we are concerned. Why? Because long before even this latest tweet, we had discussed with our partners, our G2G partners, and they have assured us that they are able to source fuel from alternative sources across the globe. And they have been doing that. Okay? So that should not raise any cause of alarm. We are confident that our IOC partners are going to be able to get fuel to suppliers. The issue of National Security Council Committee, Honorable Chair, this is a very serious matter. I'm not sure if I've been allowed to delve into the matter of a letter from the National Security Council Committee. Yes.
On that, we will, security-related matters, specifically on that.
Yes.
As a committee, I had said earlier, much as it doesn't touch on this, but I would want it to remain as it is.
Yeah.
And we'll be looking as a committee.
But suffice it to say that that letter was never addressed to me. So I never saw it, actually, until now that these issues are emerging. Okay. Then there's something that you didn't want us to talk about, but let us talk about it. The import cycle, for record. The fuel that we are costing tomorrow is fuel that arrived between the 10th of March and the 9th of April. Okay? That is the fuel that is going into, whose cost is going into the pricing that will be announced tomorrow by Epra. And you will recall that the war in Iran broke out on the 28th of February, long before the March-April cycle began. Okay? So there's no hidden card. Yeah. So thank you very much, Honorable Chair, for this audience.
Thank you, honorable members. Just a quick one on 15. I call it bullet 15, discussing about question number 10. The ministry and its agency are continually reviewing their processes. What are the timelines that we expect to find some finding and maybe proposals from you? Again, bullet 16 talks about this measure is aimed at reinforcing transparency, safeguarding quality. These measures, again, the timelines that we are looking forward to, so that again we don't stay as a committee and then there is never a finding or a report or something like that. And lastly, in bullet 17, the ministry continue working closely with the relevant agency. Are they the ones, or what are these relevant agencies over and above what we have here that you are working with? And maintain oversight. Now, which are these oversights? Just to understand so that we can.
Okay.
And lastly, Waziri, I think these are the questions that we have here. I think I was asking them as we were proceeding. So maybe you can give us.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Chair, as you know, the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum and the State Department of Petroleum in particular does not operate in isolation. We have, in the course of our duties, interact with relevant various agencies, both internally and externally. to ensure that we have got adequate oversight mechanisms in place. That is what that statement means. On the issue of the review of processes and systems of petroleum products importation, we have actually embarked on it, and holding all other factors constant, we are confident that within 2 months we should be able to have an outcome, a report that will inform the next course of action. Remember, we're doing this parallel to what the investigative agencies are also doing. The outcome of the investigations may also inform what ultimately we do in terms of implementing new processes and policies. Thank you.
Asante sana Waziri. I think as a committee we want to say, oh sorry. I did. Sorry.
Thank you, Waziri. Chair, sorry for coming late. Najua ni jikesho, but sorry for coming late. Ananda George, Member of Parliament, Makadara, Nairobi County, member of this committee. Sorry for coming late.
Actually, karibu sana Aladwa, other members. I think it is important. Other members. I think karibu sana Aladwa. We are